This podcast is part of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
Hello and welcome to Body Count, a history podcast where we gab about death and disaster through the ages, highlighting figures, single events, time periods, whatever that resulted in someone, or as is usually the case, a lot of someone's dying. I am your host, Jessica Manor, and I am joined, as always, by my cohorts and co-hostesses.
I thought you were going to say co-whores. Jesus.
I know. I'll respond to that. I mean, I'm Bethany Skelton. Hey.
And I am Kara Vitamizio checking in, and we have a special guest tonight.
Yeah, we do.
Straight from the Badger State.
Woo!
Yeah,
hey, the cheese. That's me.
Yes.
All right. Well, hello,
Say your
everyone
name.
out there. Wherever you are listening, I don't know. I'm Peter Lanning. I am the host of the Shelf Reading Podcast, where we cover lots and lots and lots of children's books because that's what we love to do. I only do that because I work at a library. Makes sense, right?
Yes.
Anyway, I'm the former host of a podcast called Badger State of Wisconsin History Podcast, so I have an intense love of my home state of Wisconsin and everything that has happened there in the past 10,000 years.
Oh, wow.
We're going to a Wisconsin Narnia. Everybody get ready.
Yes.
Yep.
And into the
And
actual coldness.
I'm ready.
And tell us, Peter, where did you go to school and what did you study?
I went to school at Marion University of Wisconsin in Fond du Lac, which is kind of east central Wisconsin, where I studied history and got a minor in Catholic theology.
Wow.
Woo!
Yeah, fun stuff.
That sounds fun.
At some point,
Bless us,
Peter, you and
Listen.
I are gonna rap about some canonical law issues. I think at some point, like for
Oh,
this
hell
podcast.
yeah.
Now,
Down.
let's get into 11th century ecclesiastical history. Oh, I'm about that. What? I didn't know that was.
Bethany and I didn't see coming.
I didn't
Nope.
know that was your minor. So we can get into. I love canonical law. It's a weird side habit I got going. So
Yeah, me too. That's why I teach religious ed once a week to a bunch of 3rd and 4th graders.
That is awesome. All of my kids are 4th grade. They would love that.
That's
Right.
good to hear. I'm not sure they like canonical law, though. Not as much fun for them.
Actually, one of them might. I actually think one of them would. Believe it or not.
So,
yeah, I studied under a guy that was canonical law.
Did you now, Jess?
I sure did. He was canonical law, and there was nothing sexy about it. I can assure you. You want to suck? You want to suck any emotion out of a room? You talk about canonical law.
This is true. 100%.
Oh, man.
Guys, we know I'm the
jokes.
I'm the queen of innuendo. That is what it is. So Peter does all of that, but he has an amazing story to tell us today, guys.
Yes. I'm
Yes.
excited. I don't know anything about what you're about to tell me, so I'm super stoked.
I'm super excited to talk about it. Or more specifically, her. Because she's
Ooh.
pretty dang awesome.
I
Yes.
love a woman. Yes.
Alrighty. So today I have agreed to talk about Mildred Fish-Harnack, who was a native of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, who was born in 1902. But I think before we can really get into her story, we need to talk about her home city of Milwaukee. At the turn of the last century, so about 1900, Milwaukee was kind of known for a couple of different things. And I bet you guys won't be surprised by this. Beer, number one. Brats
Yes.
and sausage.
Yes, bitch.
Lots and lots of Germans living there. And this one's the big shock and one I did not expect. Socialism. which we know is a big scare word these days.
I actually was not prepared for that. The way conversation was going, I was like, oh, what could be worse?
Can I just say, Milwaukee, I'm making overtures to you right now. I am feeling you guys' vibe, all right? Like, whoop.
Hell yeah.
Beer, brats, Germans, and socialism. It's a good time.
That sounds like a party.
For the
Share
first
the brats, am I right?
Yeah. For the first half of the last century, Milwaukee had a socialist mayor. And there's lots of streets. One of the major bridges in the city is named for Daniel Hone, who was the longest serving socialist mayor in Wisconsin, if not U.S. history.
Oh. What? Did not know.
Cool. So Daniel
I didn't
Hone
know that.
Whoa, that's a rarity.
That's the
I know, right?
I'm being serious, Jess. You don't have to flip me off.
Audience, I'm flipping them both off. Like Kara and OBS over here have something smart ass to say about that.
I was being for real. You're usually like the smartest person I know, and that it's very rare that you don't know something. So it's great. You're one of us. Jessica,
one of us.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, this is the city that Mildred was born into, and she was called Millie by her family. And I think she was the youngest, if not one of the youngest children from her parents. They lived around 26th and Highland in Milwaukee, which was commonly known as Sauerkraut Boulevard.
Oh.
And was home to some of the...
Sorry.
I know, no, it's all right. So Sauerkraut Boulevard.
I just love that you gave the address. It just reminds me of.
I don't even know all this information was available. I started watching a documentary, and they said this is exactly where she lived. So I guess we have to go visit sometime.
Yeah,
that gives me some strong autumn vibes too. So I am loving the autumn Peter Gen Z rocking the history thing. So,
we love our history. Alrighty. So Sauerkraut Boulevard, as it was called, was also home to some of the big names in Milwaukee history, and I think these might sound a little familiar too if you like beer. Miller and Pabst. Those families lived around the same area.
They've both done very well by me in my life, so yeah.
Amen.
That's why they're worth mentioning.
They both get big, 2 thumbs up for me. Wish I had 4.
Blue star.
Usually 4 and a half.
I love that blue ribbon, man.
It's okay.
It's okay too. Yeah.
Well, as a formerly poor, drunken college student, blue ribbon got me through some days.
No, it's but if I can splurge a bit and not have to do.
Look at her uppity anymore. With her eyes are bullshit. Fascist.
How dare you?
I dared. So, back to Sauerkraut Boulevard.
I know.
Yes. So, obviously, this is the place where Mildred grew up for the first 15 to 20 years of her life. But I think it's worth saying that Milwaukee and other heavily German cities were ruined by the First World War, which occurred early on in her life because people were so against the German language, anybody who spoke German or had any form of Germanness. And this included going against German Shepherds too, which were a relatively new breed at the time. Adoption numbers for German Shepherds dropped. Well, people didn't like Germans or anything that was German. So if it was German, it had to be not liked.
And, if you're on the receiving end of one in a trench, let's say, it's probably not going to be great. So,
definitely not.
No.
So, I don't have that much information on her life growing up, other than around the age of 18, before she finished high school, her family moved to Washington, D.C., where she finished high school and then started college, but she didn't like Washington, which I suppose makes a lot of sense, even these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she wanted to go back to Wisconsin, where other members of her family graduated from the University of Wisconsin at Madison, which is the flagship university here in the state, where she studied journalism and did lots of writing for the Wisconsin State Journal and a bunch of other places. She was part of this women's club called Athena, of course, named for the goddess of
It's still a club.
wisdom and
It's still a thing.
other things. Yeah.
It's still a thing? What do you mean
Yeah,
it's
no,
still a
it's
thing?
No, that's an actual organization. Like, there's different women's various Athena groups, like in colleges and business
Wait, what?
organizations and offshoots. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
This is true.
Huh. Wow. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So she wrote lots of poetry for these groups and just loved writing in general. And that's why I kind of picked her to begin with when I did my original podcast, was because she enjoyed writing, which is something I really enjoy doing to this day. But a fun part of the story, before we get to anything that may or may not be sad, it was at the University of Wisconsin where Mildred met her future husband, Arvid Harnack.
Wholesome.
Oh.
So after she graduated in 1925, she stayed on during her grad school period to teach. And as the story goes, her future husband, Arvid, who was a Rockefeller scholar from Germany, went to the wrong building, stumbled into her classroom, and asked her where he could find where he was supposed to go, but apologized because he couldn't speak very good English. And then she apologized for not speaking good German. And so they fell in love over their mutual love of writing and poetry.
Wow.
I'm not sure I made
Grinch's
that
heart.
sound terribly romantic, but
No, it's super romantic.
No, that is.
it's a cute story.
What a guy. What a guy and
Yeah.
what a gal. Damn.
What a dish. What a doll.
Indeed. So they'd go out canoeing a lot with other friends. They'd go eat out on State Street, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with that at all. That is where the State Street is where you can see the Capitol building pretty dang good from anywhere on the street. It's one of the most popular meeting spots in the entire city of Madison. So it's just gorgeous. At least last time I was there, it was.
The disclaimer.
None of us can remember anymore, but
Right. Oh, it was
I've never been. I mean, I've seen pictures, but I've never been.
You should go sometime. The city of Madison, if you get it on a day it's quiet, which isn't very often, it is just absolutely beautiful.
Good food scene, too, I will say. Wisconsin in general has some good food, good, interesting stuff to explore.
Mm-hmm.
I can make myself like stupid sick on food and beer in Wisconsin.
It's not
I
hard
would
to
love
do.
to go. I would love to be there. I would love to go. I mean, I've always wanted to.
Hey, once
But-
COVID's over,
Party in Wisconsin. Yeah.
Hey.
True.
yeah.
We'll get real Midwestern with it.
Yeah, we
There
will.
has to be some
That's
spooky
where it gets
shit.
crazy. Okay. So, while they were both there together at Madison, while he was finishing up his degrees, he ended up getting like 2.5 doctoral degrees. That's how smart some of these people are.
Damn.
They get lots and lots of degrees. But they were part of this group called the Friday Nighters, which was a progressive group in Madison. I don't know what else to expect from that city. But it formed their political thinking for the rest of their lives. After they're done with school, I don't know how many degrees they all finished together at Madison. Arvid traveled back to Deutschland, I put down in my notes, DL, Germany, in 1929. And his sisters, after Mildred followed him, really liked her because she looked like them. She was known in Madison as the prettiest girl on campus.
Yes, bitch.
So
Rocket.
his sisters really liked her because she looked like them, I guess. Blonde hair, blue eyes. You
But that's
know,
also a little
typical
creepy,
German
right?
stuff.
That's also a little creepy because it's like, do you want to be confused for a sibling? Like, if you're a potential like significant other, like, you know?
Based on everything I've seen in 90 Day Fiance since I've been watching since like 2 days ago, that's the least of their fucking worries. Like, I think that's, you know,
Yeah.
like.
Speaking of that, Peter, would you like to give Bethany some context to the year 1929?
That is the year that the stock market crashed here in the United States in October. And it caused worldwide issues. So that was the Kickstarter for the Great Depression in 1929.
Oh, yeah.
I've told
I
you that
remember
before. She's remembering it, and I'm very happy.
And I might
Yeah.
I might expand off of that lightly, but Germany was during the interwar period prior to the rise of Hitler. There was an ill-fated republic, and it had to deal with a lot of economic issues that were they were basically made worse by the Depression, because basically after World War I ended, Germany was very punitively punished. There's a lot of debate over how that happened, but it resulted in such inflation that the German people could barely put bread on the table. There's a famous picture, if you look it up, where a lady has a cart of money, like a whole cart, like wheelbarrow cart. And literally that's what she's using to pay for a meal, to give you an idea of the inflation during this time, Bethany. So we're talking about Germany at probably one of its lowest points, and it's obviously going to get lower from there, as we very well know in the historical time frame. But I just wanted to set that up for Bethany so she knew what we were talking about before diving first. So we're 1929, went to Deutschland. Now what's going on, Peter?
Okay, well, Arvid, I believe at this time he got degrees in economics. So he's looking for jobs with the government in economics. And now that Mildred is there with him, she ends up getting a job at Berlin University, where she teaches modern American literature, or where she taught modern American literature. But the cool thing I found about this is the same university where Albert Einstein was teaching at the same time.
Oh, shit.
What a coinky dink.
So they could have met each other, and that would have been really cool.
You could have been friends, besties.
That seems like
That
an Animaniac
awesome.
Thing to happen, right? Like such an Animaniac thing to happen.
Isn't it?
Yes.
100% Animaniacs right there. Somebody call the writers on Hulu and get them to throw that in there.
Oh, Yakko's definitely going to have a song about that very, very soon. I promise.
Oh, goody. Goody. All right. So she's teaching at Berlin University. People are thinking the Nazis at this time are just a bad dream. Nothing's really going to happen. But Mildred is determined not to be Nazi enough for the German government. And she loses her job. But then afterwards, because she loses her job, and remember, Arvid and Mildred were part of that progressive club back in Madison, they then discover all things Soviet while they're in Berlin. So keep that in mind for later.
Really quickly, let me just put a little caveat to that. Bethany.
Yes.
The Nazi Party was not a fan of the Soviets and communism in particular. So keep that in mind as we go on, and we'll expand upon that.
Okay.
Yes, indeed. So Mildred is writing for women's magazines, progressive women's magazines, and the couple is actually central in the U.S. Embassy. I didn't write down the ambassador's name, but she was friends with the ambassador's daughter, and this is how they were able to start making connections that would lead to their espionage after the war starts.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Now, in another twist here, both Arvid and Mildred joined the Nazi Party, but only so that they could get jobs. And according to the documentary I watched, which I actually watched this morning, I admit, the documents they had to sign to become members of the Nazi Party contained the words Heil Hitler on them, and they had to sign under that. Yeah, it's terrible that they, just to think about. But it gets worse all the time, doesn't it?
Of course, that's why we have this show.
It wouldn't be this show if it didn't get a hell of a lot worse.
Well, it's not getting worse yet, but it will, and you'll follow along as it gets into darker territory. All right, I don't know where she ended up teaching, where Mildred ended up teaching, but she's using her job now to recruit progressive-minded students, and they organized resistance meetings on what they could do to undermine the Nazis. And this is all before the war still. The war has not started yet.
Wow. Talk about not a procrastinator. She sees the problem. Let's go. We're going now.
Yeah, they're really just running as fast as they can to stop the spread of Nazism. Doesn't work for them, unfortunately. But Mildred used her position also and her friends at the embassy to actually help Jews escape the country. She talked to her friend, the ambassador's daughter, and be like, hey, your dad's ambassador. Can you get these guys some travel visas so they can get out of here, maybe? Help? But the United States wasn't accepting Jewish refugees. I don't know if you guys knew that. So most of them would end up going to Canada because the United States did not want them.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, that was a thing in the United States. Not talked about enough.
You had to take the jump early if you were coming, or you had to be of use, I would say, even.
That's true. And we had immigration quotas, so we'd only allow a certain number of people of a certain race or ethnic origin to come into the country. And we still have those, I believe. But not as extreme as they used to be.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So.
They won't be again. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. And at this same time, Arvid is now working directly with the Reich's Economic Ministry in Berlin. So he's a government official in the Nazi Party. Yeah. Imagine working for the government to undermine said government.
Okay.
Well, I guess if you're going to do it, that's the way you do it.
Absolutely.
It's like, what's your job title? Well,
In fact,
Saboteur.
one could almost argue, even though they weren't working for anyone specific at this time, that is kind of the basis of where espionage forms.
It's all starting right there.
Yep. He's already put himself in the position.
That's actually my next note. So you guessed what I was going to talk about next. All right. So as his position dictated, he was able to meet with a lot of foreigners, lots of dignitaries, and this is where he was able to meet with American and Soviet intelligence. So now it's really kicking off for them. The couple traveled to the United States in 1937. And so it was under a disguise, I guess you could say. Mildred went on a speaking tour because she was so good at English and journalism. And Arvid was meeting with officials in Washington. And apparently they knew where military factories were, because even though the war hadn't started yet, Germany was working full power towards rearmament, which it wasn't supposed to do. And the United States did not care. They did not care that they knew where the German factories were.
Why would they?
Right.
They're gonna.
Yes, but it doesn't concern us.
Remember, Bethany. Yeah, you're right. Remember, we're in this deep isolationist period. We've gone back to the essential at this time going to be the Great War, like pre-war era thought and patterns. Like it has to be an overwhelming number of American voters that say yes, fuck it, we want to get into this. So again, you're right. At this point, nobody cares because they can't get elected. They can't get elected on it. Officials cannot be elected if you're just going, we better do something about this shit. Everybody in America is going, not our problem, bruh. Not our problem.
Well, okay, let me go on record saying that the Nazi Party had huge amount of support here in the United States.
Well, where do we begin? Whether it be Henry Ford or Walt fucking Disney?
Like,
yeah, so
the
that's
list
something
goes on and on.
Yeah.
Like there were
Eugenics.
actually radio broadcasters that were vocal proponents of Nazi
Why does
ideology.
this all sound so familiar?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I just don't get it at all.
I don't get it. I don't know.
I mean, extreme right wing. I mean, I don't know where that could still be existing. Could go.
When was the last time things like eugenics was popular? Oh fuck, I don't know.
United States before the rise of Nazi Germany.
Peter gives us an answer.
Looking at you, Joe Kennedy. Oh, sorry.
Okay, so now they've come back from the United States. They're back in Germany and ready to start their work again. But remember, the war still has not started.
Oh, yeah.
And now the ambassador for the United States is a man named Donald Heath Sr., and he needs a tutor for his son, Donald Heath Jr. And who better to do this than Mildred Fish-Harnack?
Okay.
So she tutors the son of the ambassador, and the ambassador and Mildred and Arvid are using Junior here to transmit messages between the United States Embassy and the resistance fighters.
A useful Donald Jr.? Holy shit.
Oh my God.
Kara, you just dunked that like down to the elbow and you're hanging off of like the hoop, man. Like you've just
That was good. That was good.
And there hasn't been one since.
Not a one. Not a fucking one.
I just feel like if you're like a Donald and you're naming your kid after you, you're really taking like life in your own hands on if it's going to be a success or not.
I don't imagine there will be a lot more Donald Juniors for about the next 15 to 20 years. What do you want to bet?
I do have a question. How old is Donald Jr. in this story?
I believe he was about 13 years old. So old enough to not look like a soldier, but maybe old enough to look suspicious. So I'm not sure what he looked like back then, but he obviously would have maybe been more visible as the son of an ambassador. Yeah, so this is kind of what Mildred does. She's not making a ton of money after she got fired from Berlin University, but she's doing a lot more tutoring now, and this is how she meets actually a lieutenant in the Luftwaffe named Harro Schulze-Boysen, who joined their little resistance group because he didn't like the Nazis too much either.
I like him already.
Yeah, so he gets to be
Kara,
pretty cool.
Kara's raising her hand.
Yes, she is.
Because she's muted and she doesn't realize it. That's probably why. Maybe
that makes sense because I was like, wait, Peter, would you like to tell Bethany what the Luftwaffe was? And I was like, no one's hearing me.
Yes. Well, the Luftwaffe is German for Air Force.
Oh.
Easy as that.
Okay, really quickly, since this is going to come up over and over as we talk about Nancy Wake. So we've got Luftwaffe's German Air Force. The Wehrmacht is just like normal troops. Then you've got the SS, which is the stormtroopers, Bethany. And then you have the German secret police, which is the Chapo.
Chapo. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Damn.
So there we go.
That's a lot of people. Jesus fucking Christ.
Don't forget the Kriegsmarine, though.
Don't forget that. Hypermilitarization was kind of Germany's thing in the 30s and 40s.
Jesus Christ, I wonder where else that is. You know? I have no idea.
What?
That remains to be seen.
Are you insinuating that huge amounts of money are going into a black budget right now for ridiculous amounts of what? Kara!
No, that'd be ridiculous.
Oh, how dare you?
Blasphemy. Absolute blasphemy.
Okay, now where was I? I don't remember.
Luftwaffe.
The Luftwaffe. Okay, yeah. So he joins. Schulze-Boysen joins the group, which I suppose I should tell you is called by the Gestapo, the Rote Kapelle, which means Red Orchestra, but the more literal translation is Red Chapel. And of course, red is just a moniker for communism. That's probably obvious. Anyway, now we are almost at the war.
Really quickly, it would be what our Midwestern and Texas parents might call pinkos, Bethany. If that helps you.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we're almost at the war. Very nearly. We're in August of 1939. The war does not start till September 1st. So it's August, and Arvid obviously knows what's coming because he works for the government. And he buys his wife a boat ticket with no expiration date on it so that she can get out of the country and escape back to the United States.
Okay.
Aww.
She says no,
really sweet.
and she wants to stay by his side.
Oh, shit.
Wow. Who else does that sound like?
Our gal Nancy, if you will.
She didn't care. She didn't give two shits that the world was crumbling, and she was pissed off because, that man was imprisoned. And I was
not
like,
gonna lie, I almost got
fucking awesome.
I almost got a little teary-eyed right then. Like, yes, bitch, do this. I'm gonna stay on this hill, and I'm gonna die on this hill, which I respect.
Amen, sister. I'm here for it.
Let's do it.
All right. So there's not too much of a specific timeline of what really happens between the start of the war and the early 1940s. But at one point, the Soviet Union, their intelligence service before the KGB, provides the Red Orchestra with radios for transmitting, but the radios don't work.
Of course not.
They gave them radios that did not work.
Can I say that's the most Soviet thing ever?
You just fucking took the words out of my mouth, Jessica. Literally. I was about to say, fuck. No, but that is a fucking Soviet thing to happen, isn't it?
No, you ready for more Soviet things?
Always.
The resistance tried to warn Joseph Stalin that the invasion of the Soviet Union was coming, Operation Barbarossa, but he doesn't listen to them. He doesn't want to believe that the Germans could terrorist aid.
You're wrong.
What the fuck?
You're so wrong. You're wrong. Everything's wrong.
How could the most paranoid motherfucker not even have an inkling, right? That another fucking crazy tyrannical
To be fair, if you're Stalin, you think you're more terrifying than Hitler, and if you're Hitler, you think you're more terrifying than Stalin. That's just kind of how dictators.
It's big dick energy. Like, it's straight up big dick energy.
But Stalin's also going, oh, you think you're better than fucking Napoleon, bro? Like, who do you think you are? Genghis Khan? You're gonna march the fucking here? That's fucking cute. Like, that's adorable.
It's literally like it's a hold my beer kind of situation.
Yeah.
Hold my beer.
That's cute. Like, hold my beer. Like,
all right,
hold my kraut.
Hold my kraut. Hold my vodka. Let's do this shit. Like, really?
So is it vodka versus krauts? Is this what it's come to?
I think it is. Although I would say, like, an edible beer, a very hoppy beer. Hold my very edible beer versus hold my fucking vodka. Let's do this shit. You think you're going to get to Moscow? That's cute. Come on. Like, he's like, he's doing that Danielson shit, right? Like, come on with it. Come on with it. Oh.
Yeah. Well, then the Germans invade, of course, you know. Even though Stalin doesn't want to listen. I don't know how we didn't see that coming. And
What?
lost with the Soviets.
You mean they actually still had a war? Oh.
Absolutely not. We had no idea this was coming.
Wait a minute. Peter, are you trying to tell me that Germany had a habit of just like perpetual line stepping their way across former treaties?
I cannot confirm or deny.
You know, I haven't heard such.
I don't know.
I've not heard that about them, but you know, I might have read it somewhere.
Yeah, I'll look
I
into
think
that
you're making
for you.
that up.
All right.
Damn.
So after the invasion starts, contact is lost between the Red Orchestra and the Soviet Union.
Yeesh.
And then sometime during the Battle of Stalingrad, 1942 to 43, the Soviets are desperate. They're scrambling for information, and they accidentally, quote unquote, transmit the real names of the members of the Red Orchestra, and the Germans intercept it. So they
how do you accidentally send a classified document? Explain that one to me. I'm assuming it's classified, or it could be wrong.
I think it was over their faulty radios, so they were just trying to get in contact with their agents in Berlin, and they accidentally used the real names of these people, and the Germans happened to pick it up on one of their actually working radios.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Like
You're really
that.
Kara.
Even if I had an IQ of 20, I would know not to fucking use the real names over the walkie-talkies that don't communicate that well.
IQ.
Even if I had that IQ of a goldfish. Sorry, but that's a fucking awful shit to wish or fate upon somebody else. May they rest in perpetual hell. Not to the victims. May the idiots. May idiots rest in perpetual hell.
Are you saying Joseph Stalin's not the hero we wanted?
Nor is
but
he
it's the hero we got.
Maybe.
I don't know if anyone has seen Death of Stalin, but my
it's
God.
Amazing. It's so amazing.
I need to see it yet.
Oh, you haven't?
It's wondrous. I mean, it's a little funny because it's played by like all British actors and American actors, but my God, you have played by Steve Buscemi.
It's made funnier because everybody was supposed to do their accent. So like Buscemi doing fucking Khrushchev, it's the most amazing. There's a part where they're arguing over what should decorate Stalin's funeral, Peter, that you are definitely gonna just die laughing at.
I need to watch it.
That sounds funny, actually.
Oh, it's amazing.
Honestly, Bethany, I think you would appreciate it too. I think you would get a good giggle at the satire. So we should do a Patreon of just Bethany reacting to Death of Stalin.
To Death of Stalin. That is my new. We are definitely doing that for Patreon. We are watching it. We are doing that. That's amazing.
Great idea.
Oh, that's really good. Yes. Sorry. Like I just got really excited.
Real quick.
No, it's in my brain now. That's like definitely what we're doing on say Saturday night, guys.
Keep it there.
I'm here for it.
Okay, so the Soviets had their shitty radios, right? And accidentally, remember, transmitting real names of these resistance fighters in the Red Orchestra that the Nazis were looking for.
I love the quotes.
So the Soviets kind of helped out.
Accidentally. On purpose.
Accidentally on purpose. And Harnacks, Mildred and Arvid, are kind of determined to escape Germany now because they know it's only a matter of time before the Gestapo catches up with them. And they try to escape to Sweden and are arrested. The Gestapo find them. And the sad thing is that Mildred still had that boat ticket that
Oh no.
bought her way back in 1939 in her purse, on her person, when she was arrested. Like, just...
God damn it.
Yeah, right? So they get arrested by the Gestapo and are taken to the headquarters of the Gestapo in Berlin, where they are interrogated daily for hours. It's kind of a terrible situation.
I'm assuming this isn't some like sitting in a room and talking interrogation either.
No.
Yeah.
A little bit about what happens or how they end up before we get to the end. So Mildred is held at Charlottenburg, which is a women's prison in or near Berlin, and she's questioned daily. Before her trial begins, she had blonde hair and blue eyes, remember. Her skin is really thin and she has white hair and does not look like she's 40 years old, which she was. Basically, has decades since her arrest. Because the interrogation must be so awful. I'm not sure what exactly...
If I can give an idea of a little bit about a Gestapo interrogation, and this is going to come up later on in our Nancy Wake episode, guys, they beat Henri so bad that his kidneys were literally hanging from his body. So they wanted to...
Oh my fucking Jesus Christ,
So
Jessica.
they want to torture this woman to the point that she's together enough to put her in front of a trial. But that gives you an idea of what Gestapo torture was like.
I'm certain it was similar.
Yeah.
I was not prepared for that at all.
Really? You've done this show for a year now.
I know. I just wasn't expecting the extra. I mean, I knew it was bad, but okay, sorry.
I wanted to paint a picture of how hardcore parkour
you didn't
it
paint
probably
a picture.
was.
You didn't paint the picture. You slapped it in my face.
I gave you that Goya painting of like, torture. So
Jesus Christ.
Keeping it real. If you're
keeping it real,
bring in the dark.
I'm bringing it in the dark. It's a Goya version of torture. So go on, Peter.
All right. So their actual trial after being arrested does not begin until December of 1942. So they were arrested and they've been held for several months already. I know it's still pretty common today. You're arrested, then you're held, and then your trial begins.
Mm-hmm.
But in the instance of Mildred and Arvid Harnack, the death sentence was an almost certainty for them.
Oh, shit.
Their communist sympathies, quote unquote. It ends up that Arvid is sentenced, and his sentence is signed by Hitler himself.
Oh, damn.
Not only is he mad at these people, he wants to make a personal example out of them. Because, well, they were providing information to the Soviet Union.
You have to think it would have been the ultimate betrayal to him, right? Because they were resistance within his society.
Right.
Really.
Can you imagine how much he was screaming at his own self in front of a mirror, just high on methamphetamines and whatever else?
In his fart room.
In his fart room and the Berghoff screaming in front of a mirror, high on methamphetamines.
How dare they?
It must have been rough, man. You're right. He wanted to make an example, and that's fucking tough.
He did. Yeah. Now, this is where it starts getting interesting. Mildred was sentenced too, but she was only sentenced to 6 months in prison at first.
Oh, okay. I was like, that's not bad. Weird.
What did Himmler do? Goose step around to change his fucking mind? Like, I hate these fucks. I hate these fucks.
He did.
Oh, oh my God. No.
Hitler himself, Adolf Hitler, was not happy with this trial, so he ordered a retrial of Mildred.
Oh God.
She ends up being sentenced to death as well.
Ah.
So let me get how did I put this? Why was she only sentenced to 6 months, but her husband was sentenced to death in the first?
Because she's a woman?
Her husband worked in the Reichsministry for economics, remember? So he was a government official. And anybody in his government turning against him like that. So I think it could be that she was a woman as well. But
I think probably a woman, and because they are what they are, they think that she's taking her cue maybe from her husband.
Yeah.
I think I remember hearing that too, that she was just doing what Arvid told her to do, which isn't the case.
No.
Which, if I know her, she was probably in that jail cell in a classic Jessica manner going, no, fuck you. This is my choice. I want that little mustachioed fuck to die. Like, just no, fuck him.
100%. Naturally, she was not happy about this retrial and resentencing.
Well, no shit.
Yeah, you don't say.
Her 228, and at one point she tried to commit suicide by swallowing hairpins.
Yeah, that's my girl, dude. Do it.
Damn.
They don't get to decide how you die. You do it. You do it all the way. Oh my God, I love her. I'm in love.
All right, so we're gonna move back to Arvid for a little bit because he dies before she does.
Mm-hmm.
And so they take Arvid to the prison. The prison is called Plötzensee in Berlin.
Oh, that's not a good place to be.
I feel like none of them are.
That's an especially not good place to be.
Yeah, for them. All right, so he's hanged on a short rope, which itself is hanging from in like a little room. So the point of the short rope is to make the suffering longer than hanging.
Really quickly, Bethany, you're going to asphyxiate. It's not like a hanging in which one is dropped and one's neck breaks. It's a multi-minute, absolutely horrific.
Because when you hang somebody,
strangulation.
Yeah, because when you hang somebody with a long rope and you drop them like that, you break their neck, and it's an instant thing. But with the short one, it's literally like trying to just get behind somebody with a rope and then pulling on somebody's neck.
Yeah, they're basically garroting him from a ceiling. Oh my God, guys, wait! Can we mark this occasion? Bethany's on top of this. Bethany knows.
Bitch.
I get it. Yeah. Oh.
Peter. It's the beginning of times. It was the best of times. It was.
Oh my
God. Just so we're aware, I've watched enough true crime to understand the difference between strangulation and suicide. Okay.
Oh my God, this is amazing. Go on, Peter. I'm so sorry.
Poor dude. Like, so it's not like in colonial times when they would pull down on the legs to make them die faster. They just let them there until he died.
There was some tiptoes on there.
It's just, basically it's a bunch of sadistic fucks gathering, and may they all rot in hell. And anybody that enjoys and anybody that enjoys their shit in the United States today, I also want to rot in hell. Let me just go ahead and throw that down. But
forever and ever, amen.
Forever and ever, amen. But that is
a woman, right?
Oh, a woman. Oh, Kara. Yes. Getting
Even though
salty.
That really does not make sense in that case.
It doesn't. But yes, for sure.
I don't know. It kind of does in Maria Ostrich's case. I don't know.
And with Mildred, she is a one.
She's a bad woman. Bitch. Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna have to work hard with her. I feel like you better.
Not just
You better-
some short rope isn't gonna stop this cunt. She's gonna like take them all
Yeah,
out.
you better come
I
fucking
feel it.
hard when you
Wow,
come for her.
Tiffany's like, shit.
You better come. You better come hard and fast. She's already trying to kill herself.
So Peter,
Yeah,
what
that's true.
happens?
Now, otherwise, Mildred is translating poetry in her final days. In
Oh, I'm so in love with her. She's
that
like,
does pull at me though, like every time. Like,
So I think the poet, it's a German poet she's translating named, I think it's pronounced Goethe. G-O-E.
it is. Oh my God. No. Yes. Yes.
That's what she's translating from German into English. And I think she was even assigned a roommate to watch over.
you got
her
Jessica.
to try suicide
You
again.
got me. You got me.
I'm sorry.
No,
Fuck
he's
you,
not. It's
Peter.
okay.
I don't want to cry on my own fucking
Keep going,
podcast.
Jessica. I don't know what it's about, so shh. Keep your tears to yourself.
The poem was about. It was just translating lots of poetry. And anyway, the chaplain of the prison, who apparently knew her, smuggled in like oranges for her, and like the execution, he smuggled in a photo of her mom.
Oh, fuck you, Peter.
There it is. There it is.
That made her break down too, if it makes you feel any better.
Fuck
No,
you,
actually
Peter.
it doesn't. Because I'm on the outside. She was obviously on the inside. Oh, damn.
All right, so
Okay.
now the really hard part, which is her actual execution. She didn't know how she was going to be executed. So February 16th, 1943, she is led into a room, like a small, I'm not sure how big, a small room where the prison guards pull back a curtain and it's a guillotine.
No, I mean,
no, fuck
actually,
that
you know what?
noise. Way better. I'm gonna die like Marie Antoinette. Watch me.
That actually does
It is
sound
quicker
pretty
than-
legit. Like,
It would be quicker in theory than.
Yeah.
And you know what else? You're no fucking Robespierre. Like, come at me, you mustachioed twat. I'll die on a guillotine. You want to play this? You want to play this game? Like, no, I'm gonna go to it like I'm going to the block. You want to play this game? Fuck you. Okay, I'm on board. Like, get it, bitch. Get it.
6:57 p.m. on the 16th, she was beheaded by guillotine, becoming the only American woman to die on Hitler's personal orders. And the guards
Yes, good girl.
for 7 seconds to die after being beheaded. I don't know why they took that amount of time, but it took 7 seconds for her to die after being beheaded. And her final words. Would you like to know though?
yes, I was gonna actually ask if she ever got.
Yeah.
I don't know that I want to know because I'm already a little like weird.
Well,
teary.
shush,
So
because
let's
I
do
want to
it.
know. I'm here for her. Let's do it. I'm here.
Before being strapped to the bench where she was beheaded from, she looked at the guard and spoke the words, "And I have loved Germany so much." Those were her final words.
Oh, that's like a bitch slap in the face if I ever heard one.
So much.
Oh,
Absolutely heartbreaking.
oh,
If I'm not
fuck you,
mistaken,
Peter.
if I'm not mistaken, they did guillotine other resistors. I'm trying to remember.
So she was not the only one to be guillotined, but she was the only American woman to be executed by Hitler's order.
You know what? I feel like her words were a straight slap in the face to those that were standing by. That's like the biggest. You know what? I used to love you. I used to be there.
Mm-hmm.
I used to
she
be
still
where you
does.
stood.
No, it's like she still does so much, and you twats are gonna like. You're gonna have to eat your fucking shit eventually, and I'm gonna laugh at you.
Now, Peter, do you know if there were any ramifications for her execution, like given she was an American citizen?
Let's go a little bit here. So the United States did nothing.
Of course not.
So the
Why
war,
am I not
Why
shocked?
is that surprised? I was going to say, why am I not surprised? Even in my brain.
and thus begins the Nuremberg trials.
Oh.
One of the
Heard
Nazi
Oh,
officials being prosecuted is the Harnack's prosecutor named Manfred Raeder. Now, I want you to guess what happens to him.
I hope he gets
nothing, because I
Thanks.
know nothing.
Gets
I would
off.
think.
He wins.
Nothing happens, and he is hired by the Central Intelligence Agency.
Yep.
He
He's
gets
part of
promoted.
Project. No, he's part of Project Paperclip.
That wouldn't surprise me one bit.
So are you kidding me? He beheads an American and gets hired by the CIA. Why not?
Yep.
He's
Yeah,
part
I
of
was-
Project
I
Paperclip,
really-
Kara.
So you know what that ticks me off about that though? Because that tells me that once again, we're all like, fuck the comms. You could,
Yep, that's it too.
But let me
because
circle
their
around
value
though.
intrinsically was less valuable for that to, I guess, America.
No, but let me circle around here because we have that interjection of finding the Windsor files. There's not a
Oh.
coincidence that Nuremberg had 600 cells
100.
when it was originally
Uh-huh.
built. So when Britain breaks faith because of the Windsor files,
Mhm.
then you have that bigger separation on either side because the Soviets are like, fuck you, you stole these files out from under us that have all this shit about the British, and you would have covered them up if it was not for one guy being like, you can't legally do that in your own government. And then it turned into this big deal. So originally, like, the
Just
faith is
crazy.
broken. The faith is broken by the British in the middle, I would say. And then they're already ready to be at each other's throats because of the communist capitalist fight. And so that just like compounds it. So of course they jump at each other's throat over this. And they're like, fuck her. She may have been an American, but she's a communist. Because they could do that once the British broke the faith between the two.
Yep. I even put in my notes
Wow.
that the States did nothing because the resistance members, including the Harnacks, were considered communists.
Yep.
And were honored by the Soviet Union in the years following the war.
Even though they weren't.
Right.
Right?
They were not officially communists. They were supplying information to the U.S. too, even though the U.S. doesn't remember them. So the
They were
U.S.
technically liberal progressives
Yeah.
at the time.
So the Soviet Union made medals with their images on them. There were some East German stamps with their images on them. And due to the work of another famous Wisconsinite by the name of Senator Joseph McCarthy, they had their reputations tarnished even more.
Imagine that piece of shit.
Yeah.
I hate him.
Yeah, me too. Trust me. And the U.S. is slow to accept the Harnacks as heroes or as Americans, and the FBI files on them still remain very heavily redacted.
All of them.
course.
I tried to look it up, actually, Peter. This is a weird thing. I tried to very much
Nerd.
fuck off, Bethany. I did. I tried to look them up in the files, and they are heavily redacted.
Yep.
So that tells me there was a large bit of information being passed by them because of the redaction and everything that happened afterwards. And the way it's represented and the way it all kind of shook out.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, that
How did
bothers
do you know
me.
if the parents ever found out? Like, do you know if they had surviving family members? Obviously, I would assume siblings at least.
I know her dad died, I think, before she went to college. So in the documentary I watched, the only family member I think I saw was Arvid's niece. So like one of his sister's children.
Obviously lived, yeah.
Yeah.
So probably I'm going to say sister was still living.
Yeah. Because they didn't want anything to do with distance bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, they may have wanted, they didn't want to end up the same.
Right. Beheaded.
Can I
No,
just
that doesn't
say-
sound fun at all.
Can I just say that's my girl? Well, no, I mean what they mean is not beheaded, but they don't want to be blacklisted
On the
as
radar.
communists.
Right.
On the radar, yeah.
They don't want
McCarthy,
to stay.
that piece of shit. May he rot in hell as well. Like, fuck.
And it's not to say that there wasn't espionage, right? Because a lot of stuff's been redacted in recent years. But what's not fair to say is that people's lives are intrinsically less value because of a political ideology. And that also doesn't mean that they would have wholeheartedly supported the Soviet Union. You know, I
Right.
think people forget that. People
It
forget
doesn't-
that it's possible to be left or right winging without being a fanatic. People forget
Exactly.
that.
What matters is you're a fucking American citizen.
Mhm.
And you shit on like what's ours. No, I'm not here for
Yeah.
that.
Mm.
Cross the line. You
The only
perpetually
person,
line steppers. Perpetually stepping across that line.
the only people that can shit on America is Americans. Okay, that's it.
And we do that
Otherwise,
all
we
the
drop
time.
it.
Yes, we-
Amen.
God knows we have a long-standing tradition of believing that, and I would say that it's come a little more to heart in recent years, despite our divisions. But I do appreciate that at very least. Like,
Peter, would you like to recommend us the documentary that you watched for anyone that wants to like further, I
think of it-
guess, delve into Mildred's story?
I think it's called Wisconsin's Nazi Resistance. It was made by PBS. You can find the full thing on YouTube, I'm pretty sure.
oh my God,
Oh,
guys,
wow.
we should watch it for Patreon
Mhm.
Yeah.
and just like
Recommend it.
weep my way through it, BT Dubs, because I hate this new window of what bringing on guests has like fucking brought forth in me. I've cried in this one.
we all.
I didn't want to cry. I wasn't into it. But I mean,
Wait, didn't you say
damn.
you weren't
Like,
into it? Because you were into it. You weren't into crying.
no,
Yeah,
I'm not into
that's what she
crying.
meant.
No, I was insanely into the story, obviously,
No, yeah,
or I
that's what I meant.
wouldn't have fucking cried. Oh, God.
Well, we
Peter.
are deep. We are deep into World War II, which is just guaranteed
We're
to be
deep
crying.
into history yet again. History.
Stop
So I
plugging Arjun.
So guys, I wanted to start restart something that Bethany's mom, who is a supporter of the show, has encouraged us to do again. And this is going to be a whole thing where we can talk about like what we've been enjoying that's history related. So podcasts, books, whatever we're reading. And Peter, you're going to be the first guest that gets to participate in this.
A book?
So I want to hear, what history stuff have you been into lately?
Well,
No pressure.
I spent a whole lot of time reading one book on this very topic that I have
Okay.
right here called Resisting Hitler.
Yes.
Mildred Fish-Harnack and the Red Orchestra. You can find that on Amazon. And I think
I'm
it's one of the
intrigued.
books that goes in depth into the entire story I've just told you. So a
Excellent.
lot of detail than I've been able to provide.
Love it. Do you know what history I've been into lately? This podcast.
Wow.
Go me.
No, Bethany, stop. You watched recently an archaeology.
I did because I thought we were going to
Yeah.
record about it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have watched it.
So,
But
yeah,
you
so
did.
Bethany, what did
So
you watch?
talk about what you watched.
I did recently watch a documentary on the Saqqara. Did I say that right?
Saqqara,
Saqqara.
you said it right.
The Saqqara tomb with Watim, and they thought what's crazy to me is I never understood the actual process it goes into finding, and once you do find a particular tomb, watching these individuals depict and transcribe the messages all over this tomb to understand whose it was, what happened, what their life was. And it was really incredibly sad to discover that he literally lost his entire family in one go. and it may be on record of a disease such as malaria 1,000 years prior to the first record of it, which is incredible.
And then also the tomb stealing on top of it. It's really interesting, right?
Right.
I'm super glad you were into that. I knew you would be.
I actually thoroughly enjoyed the banter between them as well. That was funny. So
between
I did enjoy it.
Between the historian and the archaeologist, yeah, it was fun.
Don't be late. That's like when he was like, "Don't be late, boss." I was like, "Oh god, that's me telling Jessica, what are we doing, Jessica?" No, so relatable.
Panicked. Are you okay?
Who?
You. Are you panicked?
I'm fine.
He's good. He's feeling it.
Okay. So
wait a minute. One more time, Peter. Will you say the name again of the book, because I want it to get out there and I want it to permeate.
Actually, grab it because it's right next to me. 1 second.
Cool. That's going to be exciting. And then also, I think we should watch like Death of Stalin for Patreon, and we need to watch this documentary, guys, because I will weep like a bitch through this for Patreon.
I sent it to you guys, so it's
yes.
You had me at Jessica being a bitch, and I'm sold.
So our book is Resisting Hitler, Mildred Fish-Harnack and the Red Orchestra, with the subtitle of The Life and Death of an American Woman in Nazi Germany.
Yes!
It just sounds historic.
Who's the author? Who's the author?
100 pages of well-written history.
Okay. Cool. Kara, do you want to go first?
Yeah, so I've been listening to a little hodgepodge of everything, as one does, right? Some podcasts I've really been enjoying: Written in Blood History, which that's Steve, and he's fucking dope. He tells a damn good story, and it's episodic, so it doesn't have always the same topic. So I would encourage people that like episodic stuff to check out his stuff. I've also been enjoying a podcast called Half With History, and they have a really good episode on the Marseillaise, so the French national anthem. So in spirit, in a way, because it ties to our other episode that we've been doing about the French resistance. Yes, continue the whistle.
I won't. I just want everybody to know the idea of the tune that you're talking about. I think everybody probably knows, but maybe they don't. And as somebody that constantly hums the Two Grenadiers in their head, and then La Marseillaise comes into it, I don't know that it's necessarily familiar. So that's awesome, Kara. What else?
Horrifying History. Brenda also does a good job at episodic, scary, spooky, morbid shit, and she does it in such a cynical way that even the Jessica can appreciate. And yes, I said the Jessica.
The Jessica. Let me put it this way. You guys are going to get a taste of it next week, and then more of a taste of it the week after that. Brenda can even horrify me, guys. Which is hard to do, I might add.
Let's just say I did not sleep well after that episode, okay? At all. I had to decompress, and decompress is not even the right wordage for what happened. It's not even good.
It's not the verbiage for what we're going to put out. That makes it amazing.
I wanted to throw out, there's a couple others. I want to give a shout out to One Mic, a Black History podcast. They did a really good episode that I was re-listening to on the Harlem Hellfighters in World War One.
Oh my God, I randomly listened to that because you told me to, and it was really fucking good. It's
great, and especially if you only have 30 minutes to listen to something, he does such a good job at explaining a very complicated subject. Oh. He also was talking about, in touch with kind of a recent history news. He talks about the Black baseball players in the Negro League, which I don't know if you guys had heard, but they are finally inducting the records and the people that had played in that league into the
into
MLB.
the Hall of Fame. Yeah. No,
Yep.
I did, and I'm
Wait,
super
what?
pumped about that.
Can you
yes,
explain?
finally.
Yeah, can you explain it, Bethany?
No,
what that is?
no.
Oh.
I understand what that is. I just didn't realize that it wasn't already a thing.
Yeah, so it was segregated. So people literally,
I knew it
black
was.
athletes couldn't. Yeah.
I just
And
thought we got over that. I guess
Well,
not. I know.
no.
That's my
Yeah.
ignorance coming in. Sorry. I just assumed we were like, hey, let's get over this. But clearly we're not there yet.
It's really
Yeah.
hard to understand that we've been that fucked up for that long that we haven't done that. And I know that you would assume, like, that was what I was
Crack
gonna
a book.
be like. I was gonna be like, Bethany knows what that is. She just assumes it's already been done, but it hasn't been. And
Okay.
so now, yeah.
Oh.
Wow. Once again, I am embarrassed to be a white American. Awesome.
And then
Yay.
well, because I always have this ever flowing, so I'll leave it at one more recommendation for today. But I'm going to recommend What's Her Name podcast. So what they do, Katie and Olivia, they have a really good thing going on. So they talk about a lady or ladies in history, each episode, different career, different time, and they label it. So to give you context, the most recent one I listened to was called The Mother. And I've been kind of going through, and it's about Olympia, so Alexander the Great's mom. And they dive into it, sometimes with subject matter experts, sometimes not. And given the hosts are PhDs in their own right, I might add. And they bring women's history to life. I can't emphasize that enough. And they do it in such an entertaining and pretty appropriate way. So if you want some serious history without a little bit of the language that we have, they're a really good diversion that is safe for work. So I just want to throw that out there. And honestly, their whole catalog, again, it's episodic, so it's not in a linear way. So find any episode, you'll enjoy it. And then Jessica, what have you been digging?
So I've recently, I got really into whining about history, because I just like fell down their catalog, right? And I didn't think that maybe I necessarily would, but I definitely have. And so I'm processing, like, there's not a single episode I can recommend because they're all equally as good, if you will. So I definitely fell down that catalog pretty hard and got pretty into it. And then thanks to Kara, the Spy Pod, what is their official name?
Oh, Spy Stories Pod. I love
Spy
them.
Stories Pod.
Chuck and Karen are great. You guys will love it. So every episode of theirs, and they just resumed after a brief hiatus, talks about a different spy, or in this case, most recently, set of spies, because they're delving into the, Prosper Network, which in the SOE, so a little bit more World War II, but they have some other stuff, and
but
every single episode
is a delight. SOE right now, diving down the Nancy Wake hole that I am, like, I didn't think I would want to listen to more to do with the SOE. Turns out I did. Didn't know I
spoiler alert, she still digs World War II, y'all. We're still all into World War II here.
Shocker. Jessica, hashtag is about 20th century history, despite my specialization, just so all of you know, is colonial Latin American history, which I never talk about because I don't think that maybe I should be the person talking about it on our show. I think people, there are people more qualified, but I definitely got looped into 20th century history. It's very much what I taught. So, again, historians, just FYI, teach what you don't study, because then you can do it without bias.
I like that.
Oh,
just a little FYI out there for all you teaching assistants.
Because this is what happens when all you do is talk about what you know. You sound like a pretentious asshole. So,
wow, Bethany.
Well, yeah, pretty good.
I mean,
pretty good prop. I was going to say, because if you talk about what you know ever, you're going to be biased. You can't help it. That's what you studied. That's what you wrote on. That's like the platform on which you staked a career. So I would say always teach what you don't really have any interest in. And that's why I talk a lot about the 20th century, guys. Because I can be neutral, which is something new and different for the history worlds. But I just like...
Which isn't bad. It's not bad. I'm sorry. Maybe I said the wrong words, but it's
not bad. It's just, I think it's the way that everybody should approach. And there are about 30% of our audience is academics. Go out there and teach what you have no vested interest in, because it's something that you can talk about without bias.
Was that a message from Jessica? Was that a wow?
Prepaid.
I'm very embarrassed that I've added anything whatsoever to this podcast as far as good advice or teaching advice. I'm a little embarrassed.
Whatever.
No. But look, oh my God, Kara's even come on to like judge me hardcore about, oh my God, you've said something semi-intelligent, you crazy bee. So that being said, also being into spy stories, which I've gotten really deep into and I really enjoy.
Deep into history.
History. Fuck, Arjun, you get so many plugs from us. Guys, today, as of this, I was talking with a friend, and I was made aware of something that I did not know about in 20th century World War II history. And I am talking about the battle for Castle Itter, I assume is its pronunciation. So today I ordered The Last Battle. When U.S. and German soldiers joined forces in the waning hours of World War II in Europe. And what this literally is Wehrmacht troops sided with the Americans to defeat SS troops. They'd had enough of these fucking pigs. Yeah, they literally had enough of these fucking pigs that they were like, I don't give a shit anymore. I don't give a shit. And it's literally the last battle of the Second World War. And so we're going to talk about it when our guest tour is over, when we're done talking about guests, and we're actually going to have a special guest.
We'll never be over talking with guests because we love people.
None of the, we love you all.
No, exactly.
But we love Peter.
I'm going to have a special
Peter's
guest
going to come back.
about that with me.
Peter's coming back, but he doesn't know about what yet. He's going to talk some 11th century canonical doctrine with you.
Hell yeah.
He doesn't know. I don't
whatever
know
that is, whatever that is, I'm here for it and I'm ready to learn.
No, I'm going to find the unique body count sides of canonical law in that, like, what merits an execution and how. We're going to have a lot of shit in canonical law, and I'm very excited to actually have
I feel like I'm going to get pissed off because I'm not going to understand the politics of it all, but I'm here for it.
You're be pissed off because now I have to go back to my former head of history department and be like,
oh, great.
So canonical law, this is what you do. Let's run down a few things and have to look at body count while receiving the lectures and hearing how horrible my fucking grasp of Latin is real time. So it's going to be a torture for me to get to this topic. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
So
one of these days, you're going to teach me a little of history. Just a little history.
Also,
okay,
Bethany.
Can you teach me a little history?
we may have one of my former professors on come March. I don't know. I'm talking
from WT.
Talk about modern Mexico. So I'm trying real hard. I've promised I'm going to be a good girl and not be a potty mouth sailor and wear it decent.
I can or cannot guarantee I will not break out on
Expletives.
buffaloes.
Is
They're
that a
right
song
to
I hear,
fight
Peter?
for a night. Hold that ball and kick that line. Every buffalo will shine
I
and
don't want to
will
hear it,
fight.
Bethany, but let's just say,
Yes, that's my dog.
you will all witness me be deferential as fuck maybe for an episode, which will be interesting. Kara.
Peter, would you like to share with us what podcasts are your faves?
Besides this one, you mean?
I'm sorry.
We should have seen that coming.
Bugs Bunny trap my heart in my chest right now because it like beats out far. Okay.
Oh,
bump,
bump.
Podcasts all the time, so I listen to Cadence Happy Hour History all the time. I think I'm caught up, but I'm on a re-listen right now, actually. But deep into history, Age of Victoria, Age of Napoleon, all those other really good ones. But I haven't listened to Mike Duncan's yet. Can you believe that?
What?
I don't have time.
I would actually, Revolutions is more pertinent because the thing about history of Rome is, I feel like, so it was his first go around at podcasting, right? And it was like 10 plus years ago. So I would stick with Revolutions, honestly. Sure. Number two, I also want, related to that, Thugs and Miracles is also pretty dope.
Yes.
If you want your kind of like early French history, like pre-Capets kind of stuff going on. So
can I also add? I'm sorry, I'm raising my hand. Sorry.
Yes.
Can I add? Not that they need the fucking plug. Why don't you head on over to Last Podcast on the Left and give the Rasputin episode a listen? I thought it was really good. I thought they did a fucking plus work on Rasputin. I enjoyed it.
Rasputin always needs a plug.
Right. And like it never needs a plug. But if I have a favorite, and I've listened to many, I think they did it better than a lot of history podcasts do it. Yeah, I said it. I've heard all of your Rasputin episodes, and I still think Last Podcast on the Left did it better. And that's why I won't do it. Like, period. We're gonna go to.
Well, we touched a part of Rasp. We did touch upon him briefly.
Part of the Rasp ass.
But not really. Because I learned about him. So I know we touched upon.
But you didn't really learn about him. You learned about his death.
I said a part of him. I said we touched a part of him.
Sarah.
I said a part.
I also want, there's another kind of special nod, but Working Overtime by Karen Bellinger and the Past Preservers folks.
Yes, thank you.
Everyone that hasn't listened to it, even if you only have like a surface level interest in history, she nails it on the head because each episode talks about a different lens of history through an occupation. So gladiators, like all this, I mean, literally pick any episode of hers and I can tell you it is great. It is quality. And I'll be frank with you, she really convinces me of how much archaeologists do and like her perspective on history. Like if there was someone like in the world that I just want to sit down and have a cup of coffee with, I would have to say Karen would be like right up there because she's simultaneously professional, down to earth, and funny. So she's academic in a non-pompous way, if you will. So that's refreshing.
Right. You're exactly right. And that said, further on, Karen, she has something I greatly appreciate myself, which is skepticism. When she looks into anything, like nothing is taken at surface value. It's always what we assume. There's always that small, asterisk caveat that this is what we assume, this is what we look at. And she really takes archaeology to that place that I think a lot of history podcasts and archaeology podcasts miss that just because you think that and just because it's supported by a primary source doesn't necessarily make it true. And so, or it's subject in and of itself to the tale being like, well, we think. And we think as a primary, like, I really love her podcast and I'm very much into it. Like, it's such a good plug. And it's her birthday today. So
Happy birthday, Karen.
Yes.
happy birthday.
From across the pond.
Happy
right?
birthday.
Yeah, so awesome.
We're Capricorns.
Peter.
That makes so great. That's awesome.
Yeah, you both are, aren't you?
So,
Same.
Peter, I want you to talk about yourself now, and I want you to plug where we can find you. So
Everywhere.
I want
like
any
anywhere
URL,
and everywhere. Yes.
everywhere. Tell us everything. See where you can
Both
find your articles.
Everything.
Everything that you do. Sorry, Charlie, all of it.
Okay. Well, I'll start with my show. I host a show called Shelf Reading, where I cover books, like mostly children's literature, chapter by chapter. I've already covered Hatchet with my little brother, who is now 12. And
That's
Oh my
wholesome.
God.
currently reading through a book called Caddy Woodlawn with my older sister, who I've just named as my permanent co-host. So right now, I'm doing it, I think, too many episodes per book, and starting with the next one, based on a recommendation from Chris at Age of Victoria. We're going to cover the book Carmilla, which is a early vampire story that I listened to last night, and it's super good. So we're going to cover that next. You can find the show on Instagram at Shelf Reading Pod. That's all one word. And you can follow my personal Twitter, I guess, at Peter_Lanning. And that's the show.
What about Instagram?
Shelf Reading Pod. That's the basic. And listen to the show almost anywhere podcasts are available.
Here, here.
Also, Peter, would you like to talk about your former project and where that can be listened to? Because it still can be.
All right, my former project, Badger State of Wisconsin History Podcast, or I think I changed it to just Badger State History Podcast. I think if you search that up, you might be able to still find some episodes.
Hold on, give me just a
think
sec.
some
I'm gonna.
have been
She's
deleted.
gonna Google.
taken
She's going
down.
to check it out for us.
Okay. I think it may have been taken down, or a lot of the episodes have.
Boo. Rude of them.
Oh, good news. Hold on.
It shouldn't be.
Why would you take it down? Hold on.
Yeah.
Take
It's
it down.
lame.
Because if you jump networks or you jump shit sometimes on like whatever, whether it be Anchor or Transistor, when you shut them down, they pull your episodes sometimes.
That could be.
Did you do it on Podbean or did you do it on?
I did it all on Anchor.
That's so
Hold
cool, though.
Then
I
I
mean,
can still
regardless
find the
that you
show.
have previous work. I'm still.
Which
Maybe
is
I'm
very-
not hard to impress, but I think it's cool. You know what I mean? What do I know? But I'm
Yeah.
just saying.
Such a niche
Oh,
topic.
oh shoot. Okay. So, yeah, you're right. I think it only kept like the intro. So I think Anchor must have done something wonky. But
Oh.
is there a way to like refine those? Because now it's like we have a side quest, guys.
I have the audio files on my computer. I'll see if I can find them.
So we are gonna like find
I'll
this.
publish them to our Patreon.
Hell yeah.
If I can find
Wait,
the
he
audio.
has a Patreon too, I might add. Did you convert the Badger State one over?
Oh, well, then put it in the Patreon.
Yeah, I might have. I'm not entirely sure what I'll have to do it. I think I switched to Podbean at one point, and that's where some of the issues started.
Oh, yeah, you're going to lose if you don't transfer correctly. Yeah.
I think that's definitely what happened. I transferred to Podbean, and I think I gave up on that project shortly afterwards due to the pandemic and everything else going on. I just didn't think I was doing too good of a job at that point.
I get
feel
that.
like- that was everybody at some point in
That
the
was
last 12
everybody.
months.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm definitely more committed to this show I'm doing now, which provides some context if this book is set in a historical time period, which, of course, Caddy Woodlawn, which we're covering right now, is at the height of the American Civil War.
It's so good. I love it. And then also, I love Hatchet. So I'm really excited to go back and listen to this because these were like the books of my childhood. So I'm really.
That's kind of why I started it, because I wanted to encourage my brother to read Hatchet first off. So I thought we could discuss it and have it as a show. But I wanted to just go back and reread some of my favorite books from when I was a kid and talk about them.
And that's gonna expand too. I mean, when you get to the Redwall series, I'm just gonna die.
I adored that series in elementary school. That was all I read, other than Harry
That's
Potter.
all I read as well in elementary school. Like I read all of them in elementary school. It was such a big like part of my love of books and reading, and even in a way, sort of, because it's in a way it's a historical fiction, if you will.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of like grabs from history that they plug in. And I thought it was the most magical thing. It's like by the same guy as Watership Down, if you will. Like it's just very much in that kind of like vein. So it gets you in all your heart places. And I loved it. See, Peter. Oh my God, Peter! I never thought we just connect over childhood books.
See, and Peter, the librarian, brings us in on why reading is important. People.
Amen.
My mother was a librarian for most of my life.
Stop.
It's my favorite jobs that I've ever had is working at a library.
And it's preserving history, if you will, is it not?
I mean,
part of my job, scanning historical documents for posterity, get them into the digital record.
If I'm not mistaken,
FYI, speaking about putting things in the digital record, I miss like my early days of history, and this is going to be a weird thing to miss. I miss microfiche so much. Like now I can just pull it all up on Day Store, and there it is. It's been scanned in, right? So, but I used to appreciate the days when you had to individually go or order microfiche from libraries, and we all had to like go through that little. It was amazing days in research, guys.
Yeah. Us and I were just talking about microfiche on Monday. Literally.
It's a weird thing to miss, right? Because it's a great thing that it's all right there now, and you can just anybody and everybody can discover it. But I do kind of miss those days of microfiche. It's a weird thing to miss. I do miss it.
Bethany raised her hand.
I did, because I have no idea what y'all are talking about. No clue.
You should
microfiche. All I hear is No.
I hear microfiche, don't you?
That's all I hear. Microfiche. Okay. I have never in my life heard of anything called microfiche. So no, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. But you know what? I do know some stuff. I just don't know that. Okay. So don't shake your I will lower my hand right now. Okay. Don't shake your head at me, bitch. I will come to Virginia and I will bitch slap you so hard you will go all the way across the world and back again. There you go. You're welcome.
Wow.
It's a hard thing to explain. You've never had to see it. Peter, because he's a librarian, explain to Bethany a little bit how microfiche kind of.
Well, it's like film, right? Like camera film, but you have images of newspapers or other documents on it that you can zoom in, and it's cool to watch.
Hell yeah, that's cool as shit.
So you'd put your eye to like this deal, and you would zoom back and forth in like what were historic copy photos of shit.
All I can think of is that those red the red thing where you put in a disc that had images, and you click the yellow thing on the side, and it went click click. Do you know what I'm talking about?
We're talking older. We're talking older, looking at historical.
I know, but like still kind of the idea of having to put in and like click, and like you have to look real closely.
Kind of like that. And then it occurs to me, Kara, and well, no, because if Peter's young enough to know what I'm talking about, Kara is too.
Yeah, no, Willard Library, which is a resource where I live, has a lot of that. And pre-pandemic, you could even still access that, which was neat. I had just gotten me a library card for that particular one. So I'm a little bummed I haven't been able to go back.
I'm not going to lie. All the research I'm still doing on Alfred Lowenstein, I still have to, which it got put on hold because of COVID, but I started this long before COVID. And I would have to be sent microfiche like through our library system locally. And I would look up like whether it be the Times or anything else from the 20s and 30s, everything up to his death and including his life. So it's kind of been put on hold, unfortunately, but I've managed to get everything from all over the world on Alfred Lowenstein, which we're going to eventually cover. The mysterious death of Mr. Alfred Lowenstein, but that has been done all through microfiche. So it's like my last hurrah, and what I assume will be gone pretty soon.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I mean, like, not cool, but like, I'm excited to learn. Sorry, that sounded weird.
What? It is cool, Bethany. No shame in the game.
Like, sorry. Okay, cool.
It's super cool because let me tell you, I've requested everything from Danish to British library. So it all got sent, and then I had to read it all and take notes old school because I can't just fucking copy and shoot a picture, you know? Like, so I had to take notes.
No way.
On Lowenstein. So I've got like an entire notebook book of shit on this guy so far, and it's what we're going to put together for a very special episode.
You know, I also want to tell everyone, Peter, when he was still in school, got so many like commendations from the newspaper, like the school newspaper and stuff, for both his Badger State history, and he was working in tandem with the Historical Society up in Wisconsin, which is pretty damn neat. And
that's
literally like, that's so cool because I think people forget about regional history in the United States. I just do. True. That's why I really did enjoy your podcast, and I hope in a post-pandemic world you might be able to at least maybe bring back a little bit of it, that luster.
I'm hoping for it as well because it's something I enjoyed also.
I'll just
you bring the Badger State to life.
It was really good, Peter. It was like really good, specific regional. Like, you don't get that out of a lot of things that are just specific.
I would say yours history. And then Kentucky. Yours and then Kentucky State History Pod are the only two I can think of, as well as the Commonwealth State, which is another Kentucky one, lo and behold. But those are the only ones that I can think of off of the top of my head that focus in on a specific like state. So no, Peter, I think what you're doing and what you've done at such a young age, because I want to emphasize, guys, he just graduated college last year. And unfortunately, in a pandemic world, and I am so sorry, you did not get to have like that proper graduation.
Right.
Which is another, I think, interesting history moment, right? Because at least we were lucky to. Yeah.
Even me, 10 years later, I finally graduated. I still got the rite of passage. So it just, I can't even imagine to work all that. You do all that work and then
like even
you're like, woohoo, video chat. You did it. That's it.
I remember my last dead day, even though I was all done, because I had graduated with my master's. I was already done but I remember celebrating that, and it was a unique thing, kind of going like, at least for now, I'm truly like fucking, done.
Yeah,
I
done.
graduated with
Yeah.
everything, degrees that I was graduating with, and you didn't get it, and that's a huge fucking bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
But we celebrate you, Peter, and
yes.
I mean, obviously,
I know we're not,
what you've been doing,
I counted
obviously,
it
what you've been
double.
doing is awesome.
I mean, like, Peter, I would love it if we watch this doc for our Patreon, and then we'll all like drink a little bit and also celebrate your graduation. I would really love to do that. I don't know if you guys are super into that, but I am.
Yes, totes.
Got a nice
Maybe
bottle.
not tonight, but yeah, sometime, because he can't drink
No,
right now
not
because his
tonight.
family.
But, like,
Hey, ladies, let him speak. Jesus.
We're all eager, okay? We're all eager beavers. No,
Let him talk.
Hey. No, I just said I have a bottle of scotch in the house somewhere, so I'm game for anything.
Oh, yes. That's what I'm
God.
saying. Like,
Yeah.
maybe we put off the death of Stalin and here in the next, like, this Saturday or in a couple weeks, like, we all just sat down and drank and watched this doc and commented on it for Patreon, and also called it Peter's graduation party with body count.
Peter's parade.
I love that. Peter's parade.
Peter Parade. It's meant to be. No, and I'm trying to think. Peter, so where did you? We talked with Autumn a little bit about like what got her into history. I want to know, when were you first interested in history, like, and how did you go about researching?
Oh boy. It was pretty young. Like, I think in kindergarten at the earliest, I was obsessed with dinosaurs and the idea of being a paleontologist.
Were we not all at some
We
point?
were all
no,
At age?
not me. No, not me. Definitely not into dinosaurs whatsoever.
3 of us
Nope.
wanted to be paleontologists,
Dinosaurs
so we
are
learned
the
about
coolest stuff.
archaeology and history.
So it was dinosaurs, and then I think by 3rd grade, I was obsessed with the Titanic and that story. The Boston Molasses episode.
Yep.
Yep, that was a big one. And then 4th grade, it was actually the history of Wisconsin that got me more into it. So we had to spend an entire
That
semester
speaks
on
to my soul.
that.
I just got a super, like,
I
if
don't-
you could hurt my soul.
I don't know what that means.
Well, I mean, like, because he did the history of Wisconsin and the relationship he has with local historical societies, like the fact that began in 4th grade is what's getting.
No, I mean, he actually had a love for nerd science in like the kindergarten. He was like 5, so damn.
In 4th grade, we toured the state capitol, which was a big thing. And all my friends got like little toys and trinkets. And little old me in 4th grade bought copies of historical documents.
I was that kid too, Peter. I was that kid too. You just connected to my
you.
very soul. I was that kid as
Sure,
well.
I have them in the
and
box
that hurts.
I don't know if I can find them, but I think I have them up here around me somewhere.
Oh my god, you still have them? I love that.
I have mine still. Oh my god, that hurts my soul. You're gonna make me cry again. Like, ugh, fuck off. God.
I just love this stuff. Like American history, Wisconsin history, all of it is just, it's so important to understanding who we are and where we come from, that it has just stuck with me for 15 plus years now, 20 plus even.
Peter, that was beautiful.
You got me crying, you dick. Like, you're such an asshole.
I'm telling you, listeners, Peter and Autumn are what makes me feel like we're doing okay. I mean, we're not really doing okay in the society we're in, but the generation has it.
We're
Yeah.
not lost.
I-
It's
I-
not our
look,
horrible
look,
millennials that are going to take.
Yeah, look
the
at me. Okay, look at me, and then look at what is to come, and we're gonna be okay.
right?
I
Like
hope
we're
so.
all going to be okay. It's going to be okay.
Peter,
Oh, fuck.
what was your dream?
Peter.
Like, what was your, I guess, dream to be? Like, where do you want to end up?
Well, that's changed a lot over the years.
Of course.
Growing up, I wanted to be an officer in the army like my uncle was. But I decided that was not the path I wanted to take. So, working in a library, I really want to work for the Wisconsin Historical Society someday.
Oh damn.
Either at the library or at one of the historical sites in the state. I just think that would be the coolest thing ever.
What about Wisconsin history speaks to you, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't even know where to begin with that either. Everything. There's been so much that has happened here that has impacted the entire United States. Not the least to say Senator McCarthy, obviously, but other people, other events that I don't know. I don't know how to put it into words, I guess.
It's a lot.
It is, yes.
Well, we can tell your true, genuine passion
Can
for it.
I
and-
just say this is why it's called the United States of America? Because I feel like Peter feels the same way that I feel about Texas history.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like it's just getting to me. It's getting to me because I feel the same way. Like it's just, and that's such a uniquely American thing that I very much appreciate. That each of our states has a history in and of itself, not
A very deep history, actually.
Right. Right. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and plug the East Tennessee Historical Society. You'll see why.
For Dr. W.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which also gets to me because he has the deep love. So I see that each of us have this unique love of the states that we grew up in, and it's really cool.
And I'll just say that, like, as somebody that, it's not that I don't remember. Okay. Again, I am one of those individuals, unfortunately, that went through history class after history class of just boringness. Like, it just was absolute bore. They didn't make it into a narrative. And so here I am later on in my 30s learning. And there's something about it when somebody makes it emotional. What? Yes, because it becomes personable. Whatever is happening in the past has happened either in the present or is happening now. And it speaks volume to when you speak to others that are like, look, this is what's going down. And you're like, damn, I feel that on a level that I probably shouldn't. And we're talking hundreds, 50, 100 years before my time. And I'm like, damn it, history got me.
Or even things that
it makes it more memorable.
Thousands of years before the United States happened.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Peter found them.
Peter has the documents.
I found. I did.
Would you like to tell the people that do not see the video what you have?
All right. I have a reproduced, of course, copies of
my God,
the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and the Bill of Rights.
Oh my God,
Can
that
I
is
just
like
say you're a goddamn
legit.
real patriot? Can I just say that?
I'm gonna post it on Twitter later.
And you didn't storm the Capitol.
And I have a feeling in 5th grade you had more respect for the Madison Capitol building as a 5th grader.
Beautiful building.
Peter, you got me.
I'll try and take
like,
Peter.
Jesus Christ, you've 3 times gotten tears, you asshole.
Peter, and I want to ask you to talk about the fact that you do reenactment and how you got into that.
Oh, they're so awesome.
I'm so amazed by that. That is the coolest thing I've ever heard.
Right.
So what do you do?
I reenact the War of 1812 from the perspective of a U.S. infantryman, and I can also do U.S. militia. And believe it or not, all that stuff is sitting on a box in front of me too.
Oh my God.
Can you please show us?
Just like do the musket and the musket
I
ball.
don't- musket is not here. That's in the house because it's too cold out here for
Well,
that.
Fair.
yeah, okay, I get
Yeah.
that. But like, just
what
shows
do I
the
have?
uniform. Just shows the top of the uniform.
Give me
Tease
2
us.
seconds.
Tease
Find
us,
it.
Peter.
Tease
Just
us. Let
Just
us
Wait, this
the tip.
isn't fair. This isn't fair. Hold on, this isn't fair to our listeners because they can't see.
Well, I can post this portion on Patreon, but it's not fair to them. But can I also say I'm really pissed off that I've cried 3 times during this episode, and right on the back of having recorded Autumn's episode, I don't like how you're all conspiring to turn me into people.
What? We would never.
You
Never.
assholes. I used to love to sit down to a book and be completely a blank state. Oh my God, it's amazing, you guys.
This
Oh my
must.
carrot. Oh
Oh
God.
This is
my
amazing.
God, I
That
love
collar button.
it.
Isn't
You
it
must take a picture
Can
and send
you-
it to me so
Can you,
we can share
take
with
a
our
picture and
viewers.
send it.
Yeah,
Because
will
we
you
can
take
share it
it?
with everyone.
gorgeous of me wearing it? I can send you that one.
Yes!
Yes,
Not anymore since quarantine, but
Mm.
please do. We're
quarantine.
gonna love that so much.
Yes,
Like, let us like
please.
post that because we will
Absolutely.
post.
How did you
shit.
get involved with reenactment? How does one go about,
That's
I guess,
so
becoming
curious,
a
yeah.
reenactor?
And it's a funny story. I was at a brat fry with my Boy Scout troop, and the incoming scoutmaster
He's an Eagle Scout,
has
y'all.
been enactments now for 20 plus years, and this was in 2014, so I would have been 17 at the time. And he's talking about reenacting, and I just looked at him and said, I think it would be really cool to do that. And his response was, "Okay, you're in."
Yes.
It's quite a financial investment because everything has to be handmade to be authentic, but it is the coolest hobby in my opinion, besides podcasting, of course.
Right. No,
Right.
it reminds me of the movie with Paul Rudd and the guy with Stifler. God, what's the name of that movie? But they do it's not reenactments, but it's role playing. I think but they still invest, and it's still it's still a history of some sorts, in a sense. But
Well,
that's the
you're
only thing I
looking
can
for
come close to
LARPing,
it.
but this is like
Yeah, no, I know that. No, I know that. What I'm saying is that's the best I can conjure up, but in a historical. Otherwise, the only other movie that I can think of is Sweet Home Alabama.
Oh my God,
The
y'all.
reenactments.
I have now sensed a podcast outing when COVID's over that we're going to go watch one of these.
I mean,
Yep,
I'm
we're gonna be we're gonna
100%.
literally be your
Yeah.
on the sidelines civilians.
With all of our weird vlogging and video equipment, just be on it.
Honestly, Peter, do you know some haunted shit in Wisconsin?
Yes.
Who does?
You look totally taken aback by this.
There is a place about 20 or so minutes from where I live called the Witch's Road, where
We
they
love witchy
claim
shit.
to see a witch or hear a witch little girl. They hear water running, but I think that part's been debunked.
Nope. Nope.
Nope. We're taking
Nope.
Bethany. She's our
Nope.
ghost meter.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
She
let's-
doesn't want to
Nope.
hear it,
Nope.
but me and
Nope.
Kara want it
Nope.
real
She's
bad.
our hostage,
so,
Peter.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
I've
We
never
hold
actually
her
been-
hostage and take her out there, and if she hears those shit that stuff, then
no.
we stuck to her, right? We just
Confused.
Sure.
she's our ghost bait is what we call her.
That's. I
Peter.
think my church is haunted too. So
Nope. Definitely no haunted churches.
Peter, I
Kara?
want you to also talk about the cooking you do. some of the historical recipes. Because get this, Bethany, he
Okay.
legitimately does historical like recipes, including. Please tell us.
Can you make Applejack?
The other day for my family, I made cream of onion soup from 1801. That was really good. Yeah, cream of onion.
That's cool.
I posted that on Twitter, so that's
Into
there.
that.
Well, onions, obviously. Cream, butter, flour. I think nutmeg was in it, cloves, pepper, a few other things. I have the recipe posted on Twitter for anybody who wants to use it. It is.
So are you like, just out of curiosity, you make your base with like the butter and the flour and throw your shit at? Okay.
Yep.
I'm
The
real
whole
into that.
recipe's
I'm gonna make it.
There's also colonial onion rings, if you like onion rings, from the same year, 1801.
Yeah, you're about to like also cook us up a meal in a post-pandemic world, like the most Wisconsin history of meals.
We're gonna all show up in Peterstown, stay in like the most haunted hotel we can find,
or bed and breakfast. Honestly,
yeah, shove Bethany into that. Be like, "What's your most haunted room?" And then Kara and I are gonna hold Bethany hostage in a bed, and we're gonna sleep like babies and make Bethany stay up all night as a ghost like filter. Right? She's gonna be like scared to death. And we'll be
Bethany's
like,
on
wake
mute,
us
guys.
up if anything weird happens.
Bethany's on mute because she's wanting to internally scream at you.
I am. Oh my God. No. I will stay in a hotel by my damn motherfucking self. Hell to the nose.
Peter.
Hotels in Texas and Louisiana that you have to stay in with us, Bethany, because you're going to be ghost bait.
Nope.
Oh, by the way,
no.
He also can chop wood.
Chop
wood.
I like, yes.
He can split wood like a fucking, like he's goddamn Jeremiah Johnson. Okay, so.
So you have, like, we have a Renaissance man, right? Like here, he can cook historical shit. He can react historical shit. He can find you the historical shit. He can do it all.
He is the historical shit.
That is all his links in our show notes.
So Jesus.
On that.
I'm so excited. Peter, I just want to say thank you. I did not know who Mildred, I probably never would have known who Mildred was if it wasn't for you. And I cannot thank you enough for taking me on this journey. And I learned, I am proud to say that I do know some stuff about World War II. I just don't know everything. And now I can put another notch in my historical belt.
Can I say, though, to be fair, Bethany, no matter what PhDs may claim, no one knows everything about the Second World War.
This is true.
Okay,
so
thank you.
To help wherever I can.
I appreciate you and everything, and literally the fact that you make historical food and paint, Picasso's reincarnations. Like it's just something that I can never achieve in life.
I am going to need you to set me up a still, and then teach me how to build an historical still and make Applejack. Although I think Leah's husband knows how to help me there. But still, you have to do it too, because you might both do it different, because it's 110% in my future plans, just so we all know.
That sounds wonderful. I'll look into some plans.
I want my own moonshine. But before it was called moonshine, I want like colonial moonshine. I maybe want to melt my brain and go blind. Okay, like I'll take that chance.
I'm here for it. Either way, it's historical knowledge, and if it melts my brain, then yippee!
It was in a good cause.
I can see that problem.
No, I don't think you would do it wrong. But then again, I don't think Leah's husband would do it wrong. And as Kara knows, he's already teased me with pictures before in his freezer of his actual Applejack. So
Okay, that's not where I felt that was going when you said freezer. So
no, like
Whew. I need to stop watching true crime shit. Like, for real. I need to take a break on that one.
Actually made it, and he is what he is and does what he does.
No, I know. Sorry.
So Kara, what do you have to plug for us this evening?
Myself?
Where can we find you? Yeah, like, where can we find you?
So
plug you. Plug you.
So you can find me on Twitter at Kara DiDemizio. What?
I was saying, don't plug yourself.
She's talking shit. Just keep going, Kara. Just ignore it like I do. It's okay.
So on Twitter, you can find me at Kara DiDemizio, and on Instagram, you can find me at Kara.DiDemizio. You can also find me at Time Travel Talks on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. To give you the nutshell, in case anyone hasn't listened all the way through and heard me pimp it out, it is a Twitter community for people of all interests in history. Whether you're a PhD or you're an armchair historian, if you're a student just getting into history, we want to build and foster a community aimed at addressing questions, generating conversation, sharing primary sources and resources, and where to find tools. And we're on Twitter primarily, although we now have a Discord community. So if anyone is interested, please shoot me a DM on Twitter. My DMs are open, and we would love to talk to you and include you.
Our DMs are open.
My DMs are open for appropriate content.
But
secretly, she's wanting more. It's okay. It makes us feel good.
And Bethany, where can we find you?
Okay, you can find me on Instagram at Bethany Skelton 5, the number 5. And then you can also find me on Twitter at the same, but you must capitalize B and S, my initials. S. And Jessica, over to you.
Over to me. I'm going to plug the podcast, but I cannot plug enough. One of the ways that we met Peter and connected with Peter again is going to be Time Travel Talks. And guys, you know, it's everything from like cute dog pictures and whatever. Like, there is a very real life essence to this community, but it is very much history oriented, and it really doesn't matter your level. Like, you can be at Bethany's level, as we've proved.
Damn, that's the minimum. Okay, just so y'all know, I'm the minimum.
as in Bethany, who doesn't and is not a student of history, she can read the general and get into it and ask questions, and there is a very friendly community that will answer her questions, to like the most sophisticated things that you can put out there. It's bizarre, it's a great community. We encourage you all to join. It's something that Kara and Leah do, and we're supporters of it here on the podcast. And not just because Kara is a host on this podcast, but also it's something we genuinely enjoy. And I really want to say, like, it's not just because Kara's on this podcast. That's how I met Kara.
We actually, I was going to say that Time Travel Talks and the Discord with Time Travel Talks has been happening long before. I feel like we were even friends with him on Twitter, or maybe it was just time. But I don't know. I feel like it was kind of one of those things. Yeah,
110%. And so, like, I'm saying, if you've got a project out there and you're looking maybe for a person you even want to connect with historically, like, this is the place to go and find them. It's such a friendly, such an all-inclusive community, no matter where you're at historically. And so I would say go out, do it, join it. I mean, look at us. We have a new member of the Body Count family just because we loved it so freaking much, and Kara's amazing. So I would say go ahead, privately DM her if you have some interest in that. Also, you could find the podcast at bodycountpod.com. We're upgrading our website, of course, as all of you know. We're working on it right now. It's gonna be a lot more inclusive than what we've currently got, and you'll see everything from the scripts that I turned into papers to God knows what else, like whatever nonsense that we post. I will also say follow the podcast at Body Count History Pod on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook now. We are there. Bethany and Kara on top of this shit. Like, God knows I'm not smart enough to be that. That being said, also follow us at Patreon /Body Count. We're going to have a lot of things coming out, like we've already talked about on this episode, watching different things together and commenting on them, and just like
be patient.
Just be patient.
Please.
Be patient. We're getting there, guys. I promise we're getting there. Our schedule's so full, it's ridiculous. And then
Peter.
Also,
Plug yourself.
Plug myself?
Peter, again.
Where can people come? Where can we find you again? On Twitter, Instagram?
On Instagram, you can find the show at Shelf Reading Pod. If you want to follow my personal one, I guess that's okay too. So that one's Lanning_Peter. And on Twitter, my personal one's the opposite of that. So it's Peter_Lanning. And if you want to listen to the show, I guess we're available on all or almost all platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you want to look. I'm sure we're there.
All the biggies. I'm sure sooner or later, you're definitely on them. So
and if not, when we post it, you either way, if you follow us, you will be able to follow him. So it'll be accessible either way.
This is true.
So, guys, what a fantastic freaking episode!
Yes, thank you so much.
Yet again, I've cried. I'm a little bit ashamed.
I guess my favorite bit is that you cried at the end too, like when Peter was talking about himself. Like,
I'm flipping her off, audience, so you know. So I feel like I'm losing my fucking rough edge, which I don't. Finally. Now Peter and Autumn have chipped it away. I don't know. I may cry every fucking episode.
It's World War II. It's because it's World War II. This is why we've stayed away from World War II. It's just it's a thing. It hits us. It hits you.
I do. I avoid it like a plague because it does hit me like a hammer. Like, let me put it that way. Like, to use two idioms, if you will, in direct speech. So, again, Peter, it was a freaking treat to have on. Yes. Such a great story.
Ooh.
I am honored to have been asked to be on your show. This is amazing for me.
Don't hurt my heart anymore.
Oh,
Peter.
God,
Fuck,
it's a fourth one.
You want me to cry a fourth time?
I had the biggest ass sigh ever. Like,
Peter, you are a teddy bear.
I'll take that.
I can say,
I like that.
I can honestly tell you guys too, having talked to Peter for over a year, he is one of the most sincere people in the history community online, and
that's
he
rare.
deserves all your followers, all the follows. There we go. And quite frankly,
thanks.
Genuinely nice guy. If you have questions on Wisconsin history, I am sure he would be your guy to find those questions answered.
Also, I think a lot of you are going to fangirl over Peter, which you definitely should, FYI, so you all know. I think for a lot of female listeners, it's going to be the one to fangirl over. You hit the head, like the nail on the head, if you will. So, fangirl, bitches, unite. I love it. So we're going to go ahead and in this episode, Peter, again, it was so great. It was really so good. I cried. I hate myself inside.
And we love that.
And these two are going to laugh at me forever for doing it 2 weeks in a row. but it was a unique treat, and it was something that we can't get from everybody else. So we really appreciate it, Peter. That being said, we're going to end it, guys.
Yeah.
So we will be back.
Kara,
at you,
get ready.
as always,
Mhm.
next week.
Mondays. Bye.
Mondays. And now Wednesdays.
Bye. Mondays and Wednesdays. Bye. Bye.